Chapter 43:52. Hearing that, the crowd nodded. That was the only explanation that made sense. The people living in this residence weren't ordinary cultivators. If the residence wasn't clean, they would have known long ago. Moreover, even if there was, ordinary spirits wouldn't be able to stay by their side. After all, putting aside the fact that Yama Lord and their master were the lords of heaven and earth, just their pressure and aura alone made it so that spirits wouldn't dare to live in this place. Moreover, their cultivations weren't low. Even the most brainless spirits wouldn't dare to take such a big risk to stay in this place. The only possibility was that, as their master said, the wisp of spirit hidden in the spiritual pearl was originally sleeping, or was on the verge of dissipating. It was coincidentally awakened by Yu's blood, and thus entangled with Yu. Xianyuan Mose lowered his head and glanced at his daughter beside him. He patted her head and asked, "Yu, are you all right?" "I'm fine. Mother is here." She raised her face and revealed a smile. "That's good." Seeing this, Xianyuan Mose's lips also curled up. Fengjiu turned around and looked at Xianyuan Mose and the two children beside him. She said, "You two go back to the courtyard first. I'll go back after I deal with this place." Xianyuan Mose was very confident in her work, so he didn't ask any more questions. Instead, he brought his children to the main courtyard. After they left, Fengjiu said to Leng Hua, "Fill in this place and rebuild it." "Yes." Leng Hua responded. He watched as she turned around and walked to the side of the pond. She took out the black spiritual pearl and threw it. A cluster of flames flew out from her palm and wrapped around the pearl. When the mournful cry sounded, Fengjiu waved her hand and formed a soundproof barrier to prevent the sound from scaring her two children. At the same time, she increased the intensity of the flame. As her flame grew bigger, pieces of black ashes fell from the bead, and were blown away by the wind and fell into the pool. "I don't dare. Let me go. Please let me go." The sound of begging for mercy was accompanied by shrill screams. However, Fengjiu's face was cold, and there was no expression at all. "You've touched my reverse scale, and you want me to let you go?" Don't worry, my natal heavenly fire can burn your remaining soul into ashes and make you disappear from this world. You won't even be able to enter hell." Her cold voice rang out from her mouth. With a flip of her palm, a flame burned with a hoo-hoo sound. As time passed, the voice of the spirit hidden in the spiritual bead grew weaker and weaker. Its soul was devoured by the flame bit by bit until it was burned to ashes and disappeared from the world. Bang! The spiritual pearl exploded and turned into ashes that scattered in the pond. The fish in the pond scrambled to devour it. As the spiritual pearl exploded and dissipated, the flame in Fengjiu's palm also disappeared. As she withdrew her hand, she removed the soundproof barrier in the air. Then, she turned around and walked back. When she passed by Du Fan and the others, she paused and said, "Pack up and prepare in the next few days. We'll find a time to go back." Hearing this, everyone was stunned. Then, their eyes overflowed with surprise. "Master, you're going back." Chapter 43:53. "Okay, let's go back and prepare. We'll settle everything here and be ready to leave at any time," Du Fan and the others said with a smile. After staying here for so long, they really missed their companions over there. Fengjiu said a few words to them, and then went to the main courtyard. When she arrived, she happened to see one adult and two children sitting at the stone table in the courtyard. Seeing her come in, the two children ran over. Mother, we're waiting for Mother to eat." "Okay, let's eat." Fengjiu chuckled and tapped the tips of their noses, then led them to the table. "Is everything settled?" Xianyuan Mose asked. "Yes, it's settled. I think there's nothing here. Why don't we find a time to take the two children back?" She looked at Xianyuan Mose. Xianyuan Mose's eyes fell on the two children and said, "Well, they're so old and haven't gone back to see them. Let's take them back. If you want to come back in the future, or if you want to live somewhere, we'll see when the time comes." Listening to their conversation, the two children couldn't help but ask curiously, "Father, Mother, where are we going back? Isn't this our home?" Fengjiu chuckled and said, "Where Father and Mother are is where our home is. This place can only be regarded as one of our homes. You're so old, but you haven't seen your grandfather and maternal grandfather, so Mother will take you back and let them see you." Hearing this, the two children were very excited. "Then when will we go back?" "When the things here are settled," Xianyuan Mose said and looked at Fengjiu. "There's no rush to go back. You just came back, so it's better to rest for 10 days or half a month, so that you won't be tired from running all the way." "Okay, I'll listen to you." Fengjiu smiled. Seeing Qin Xian and Qin Qing come in with a few maidservants carrying food, she said to the two children, "Let's go. Mother will take you to wash your hands and prepare for dinner. After dinner, we'll take you out to play." When the two children heard this, their eyes couldn't help but light up. Just as they were about to nod, they heard their father's voice. "Not today." Xianyuan Mose spoke unhurriedly. When he saw the two children and Fengjiu looking at him, he coughed lightly and said, "There was thunder just now. It's going to rain today, so it's not suitable to go out." The three of them raised their heads to look at the sky. They saw that the previously cloudy and thundering sky had already dispersed. From the looks of it, it didn't seem like it would rain. "It's not raining now," Yu said in a low voice, while looking at Fengjiu with expectation. Mu Chen said, "I haven't finished my homework today." Looking at the two children, Fengjiu couldn't help but chuckle and say, "All right then. Let's go out today. If we don't finish our homework, we'll do it tomorrow. If it rains, we'll find a place to take shelter. What do you think?" The two children looked at their father at the same time. Seeing this, Xianyuan Mose said helplessly, "You'll spoil them like this. I'm happy today, so it doesn't matter if I spoil them a little, don't you think so?" She winked at the two children. The two children looked at their mother's appearance and couldn't help but smile and nod quickly. "Yes, yes, we'll be very obedient and won't spoil them." Chapter 43-54. "That's great. We can go out and play with Mother." The two children were so excited that they danced with joy. Seeing the two children so happy, Xianyuan Mose didn't say anything, only saying, "Hurry up and eat. After eating, we'll go out and play." The two hurriedly responded, their faces brimming with happy smiles. Regarding Fengjiu's return, the people in the city didn't know. However, when people saw the family of outstanding appearances strolling through the streets, they couldn't help but be secretly surprised. The red-clothed ghost Dr. Fengjiu wasn't unfamiliar to the people in the city. The only unfamiliar thing was the pair of pink and jade-like children they were holding hands with. Fengjiu and that Yama Lord's outstanding appearances didn't need to be said. However, they didn't expect that the pair of children would also be so good-looking that people couldn't take their eyes off them. The two children had the same appearance, but the little girl in the pink dress looked more lively and lively, while the little boy in the white robe looked like a little adult. His serious appearance almost made the young women on the streets want to go up and hug him. "Isn't that the ghost doctor and Yama Lord? It's so rare to see them come out. Speaking of which, it's been almost a year since the ghost doctor appeared in the city. The two children they're holding hands with are their children, right? I've always heard that they have two children, but I rarely see them go out. I didn't expect to see them on the streets today. They're so good-looking." "That's right. Yama Lord and the ghost doctor's appearances are so outstanding. It's normal for their children to be good-looking." Hearing the whispers from the people on the streets, Fengjiu looked at the two children with unconcealable pride in her eyes. These were her and Mose's children. They were so good-looking. When they grew up, they would charm a large number of young men and women. At this moment, she couldn't help but think, what kind of man and woman would be worthy of her children in the future? "What are you thinking about?" Xianyuan Mose saw her lips slightly raised, revealing an inexplicable smile, and could not help but raise his eyebrows and ask. Feng Jiu glanced at her and chuckled. I'm thinking, what kind of man and woman will be worthy of our son and daughter in the future? Upon hearing this, Xianyuan Mose glanced at the two children, and the corners of his lips curled up slightly. He said, as long as they like it. That's true. As long as they like you, there's nothing to be worthy of. Feng Jiu chuckled. She thought that their children's standards would naturally not be low in the future. The person who could catch their eye and fall in love with would naturally be extremely outstanding. They're still young. It's too early to talk about this, Xianyuan Mo said. He didn't want his precious daughter to get married so early. Little doll, come. This Tonghulu is for you. An old woman selling Tonghulu saw how adorable the two children were and couldn't help but take 2 Tonghulu skewers and offer them to them. The two children looked at the red Tonghulu skewers in front of them, then looked up at their parents. Could they take it? Take it if you want to eat it, Feng Jiu said with a smile. The two children hurriedly nodded and thanked her sweetly after receiving the Tonghulu skewers. Chapter 43:55. Feng Jiu saw how happy the two children were as they held the candied haws and instructed Ling Hua to pay before they left. That day, Feng Jiu and Xianyuan Mose took them to stroll around the city. When it started to drizzle, they retreated to a restaurant to sit and relax. When the rain stopped and the sky darkened, they finally returned to the residence. Because they were planning to leave this world, Qi Kong and the others took care of the matters here and settled the loose ends. Feng Jiu entered the space to cultivate and refine some medicine. Time passed quietly, and half a month passed in the blink of an eye. Knowing that they were going to leave this place and go to another place, the two children had been in a state of excitement. That evening, Feng Jiu came out of the space and saw Xianyuan Mose reading on the bed in the room. The two children were nowhere to be seen. Why are you alone? Where are the two children? Feng Jiu asked as she walked towards him. When Xianyuan Mose saw her come out, he put down the book in his hand and reached out to pull her over. Feng Jiu turned around and sat on the edge of the bed. At the same time, she leaned into his arms and allowed him to hold her in his big arms. Jiu, ever since you came back, if you weren't with the two children, you were in the space to cultivate. Have you forgotten that you have a husband like me? His deep voice was seductive as it sounded in her ear. His warm breath blew into her ear, causing her body to go limp and numb. Didn't you tell me not to tire myself out and to rest and recuperate? Feng Jiu said with a smile in her eyes. Even so, you can't keep neglecting me like this, Xianyuan Mose said unhappily. Hearing this, Feng Jiu chuckled and placed her hands on his large hands around her waist. Her clear eyes were filled with tenderness and a smile as she said tentatively, Then, let's send the two children to sleep in another room tonight. I'll accompany you to spend some quality time together? Okay. Xianyuan Mose immediately agreed. When Feng Jiu heard this, she was stunned for a moment. She thought that he would at least hesitate. Who knew that he would agree so easily? She couldn't help but find it funny. Really? Can you be at ease sending the two children to sleep in the next room? They're not young anymore. They can sleep on their own. As Xianyuan Mose said this, he tightened his arms around her and rested his chin on her neck. We can't always let them sleep with us. Then tell them to sleep in their own room tonight. Feng Jiu chuckled. Xianyuan Mose agreed. Smelling the familiar faint fragrance on her body, he lightly kissed her snow-white neck. Moving up, he densely kissed her until their lips touched and their tongues played together. Father, father. Yu hadn't arrived yet, but her voice had already spread inside the room. And the moment her voice spread, the door of the room was also pushed open by her, and two small figures ran in one after another. After seeing the scene inside the room, their originally excited little faces however stopped, and their expression was somewhat dazed, and also somewhat curious. Chapter 43:56. Brother, why did Daddy bite Mommy's lips? Yu asked Mu Chun curiously. Mu Chen's eyes also blinked. He tilted his head and thought for a while. Finally, he said seriously, Daddy must be hungry. Daddy's hungry? But he can't eat Mommy's lips. No, I'm going to call Auntie Chin and ask them to prepare some food for Daddy. Daddy's starving. The little one ran out like a gust of wind, shouting as he ran. Fengjiu, who was in Xianyuan Mo's arms, heard the words of the two little ones and couldn't help but feel embarrassed. She glared at Xianyuan Mo and saw her daughter running out. She couldn't help but call out, you. Before she could finish, the little one had already left the room. Auntie Chin. Qin Xian, Bai Qingqing, and Hui Lang were all outside the courtyard. When they heard Yu Er's voice, the three of them looked at each other and walked inside. What's wrong? Qin Xian squatted down and asked, looking at the anxious Yu Er in front of her. Auntie Chin, quickly ask the kitchen to prepare some food for Daddy. Daddy's starving, Yu Er said anxiously, grabbing Qin Xian's hand and asking her to quickly ask the kitchen to prepare food. Hearing this, they were slightly surprised. Qin Xian asked again, How do you know that your daddy is starving? He said he wants to eat? The little one quickly said, Daddy didn't say, but Brother and I saw Daddy biting Mommy's lips. Brother said that Daddy must be starving. Hearing this, Hui Lang was stunned and couldn't help but burst out laughing. Qin Xian and Bai Qingqing were also startled, but then their faces overflowed with unconcealable smiles. So that's what happened. They were wondering what happened. In the room, Mu Chen, who was motionless, looked at his mother worriedly and asked, Mommy, how are you? Do your lips hurt? He saw that his mother's lips were red and swollen. How can Daddy be like this? No matter how hungry he is, he can't bite Mommy. Fengjiu touched her nose embarrassedly and said, It's nothing. I'm just playing with your daddy. As she spoke, she elbowed him behind her and stood up. She straightened her clothes and coughed lightly. Why are you here? We just practice a set of boxing skills. Then it's the same for Mother to see. Let's go. Let's go outside and let Mother see how you're doing. Fengjiu said as she came to his side, took his little hand and walked out. When Xianyuan Mo saw that they had left, he also got up, put on his coat and belt and followed them out. When they were outside, Xianyuan Mo saw that the people in the courtyard were trying to hold back their laughter. Yu Er was nestled in Fengjiu's arms, looking at her red and swollen lips worriedly. Mommy, do you want to apply some medicine? It won't hurt anymore. Yu Er said and took out a small bottle from her space. She was about to open the wound. Fengjiu hurriedly said, No, Mommy is fine. There's no need to apply medicine. Chapter 43:57. Cough. Xianyuan Mo coughed lightly and looked at Qin Xian and Bai Qingqing. Prepare 2 rooms for them. From today onwards, each of them will sleep in 1 room. Daddy, Yu Er doesn't want to sleep alone. Yu Er wants to sleep with Daddy and Mommy. Yu Er ignored her dissatisfaction and hurriedly hugged his thigh. Mu Chen did not speak and only looked at his parents, as well as his sister who had rushed forward to hug his father's thigh. You're not young anymore. From today onwards, each of you will live in a room by yourself, Xianyuan Mo said and rubbed her head. Moreover, we will be leaving in a few days. This is also to let you get used to it in advance. But, Yu Er thought for a long time but could not think of a good reason to persuade him to let her sleep with them. It's decided then, Xianyuan Mo said and looked at Mu Chen. Didn't you say that you've learned a new set of martial arts? Let's see it. Okay. Mu Chen heard his words and saw his mother looking at him with a smile and encouragement. At that moment, he put away his other thoughts and focused on practicing the martial arts he had learned today in front of him. Looking at the little guy practicing the martial arts methodically, Fengjiu and Xianyuan Mo looked at each other and secretly nodded. Compared to Yu Er, Qin Er's talent in martial arts seemed to be a level higher. But this was also good. With Chun-Er as her elder brother in the future, they believed that Yu-Er's martial arts would become as good as his. There's still a courtyard that is empty. Why don't we let the two young masters stay there? Qin Xian suggested at this time and added, that courtyard is close to here. If Master and Yama Lord are worried and want to take a look, it's just a matter of walking a few steps. Okay. Then let them go to that courtyard, Xianyuan Mose replied. He took a sip of the tea in front of him and glanced at the two children standing next to him. The two children didn't seem to be very happy, but after they tried to protest, they didn't say anything and just listened to the arrangement. That night, after sending away the two kids, Xianyuan Mose finally had a private night with Fengjiu as he wished. In the following nights, Yingyi was sent out almost every night. A few days later, Qi Kong and the rest returned to the residence after making all the necessary arrangements. Fengjiu and the rest were already prepared to depart at any time. Thus, the next morning, before the sun had even risen, they quietly left the city. They didn't go back the way they came. Instead, after leaving the city, Qi Kong tore open a hole in the sky. The group of them gathered their qi and sat on the flying ship. From the flying ship, they passed through the crack in the sky and headed in the direction of the Phoenix Imperial Court. On this day, the people in this world didn't feel anything wrong. They didn't know that Fengjiu and Xianyuan Mose had already left this world. A few days later, in the Phoenix Dynasty. Chapter 43-58. Mother, this place is so beautiful. There are so many peach blossoms. Yu-Er's eyes shined brightly as she looked at the large peach blossom forest in front of her. It was difficult to conceal the excitement in her eyes. Fengjiu faintly smiled and said, "This place is very beautiful. Mother used to frequently come here to live. This time, after rushing back, we will first rest here for a day or two. After that, we will bring you to see your maternal grandfather and the others." "Did you tell them that we arrived at Peach Blossom Cove?" Xianyuan Mose asked. Fengjiu looked at him and said, "I was thinking of resting here for a day or two. At that time, we will return to the Feng Manor. For now, there is no need to tell them, so as to avoid them all running over here." Xianyuan Mose slightly nodded and said, It should be like this." If the people in the manor knew that they had returned, it was estimated that a large number of people would come over here. "Father, I want to compete with Big Brother to see who can go up the mountain the fastest." Yu-Er pulled on Xianyuan Mose's sleeve and said. Her eyes were filled with excitement. "Go. Be careful, don't fall." Xianyuan Mose nodded and looked at the two children beside him. Following the two children going up, Fengjiu looked at Qin Xian and Bai Qingqing and hinted for them to follow. After the two received the signal from Fengjiu, they raised their spirits and chased after the two little masters. Seeing the two children leave first, Xianyuan Mose curled his lips and held Fengjiu's hand. While walking up, he chatted with her. "What about Guan Shilin? Did you not send him a message to let him know that we have returned?" Xianyuan Mose asked. Fengjiu's footsteps paused and said, "I thought that we wouldn't leave so quickly this time, so I didn't tell him. Let's wait until after we return to the manor." After her voice fell, she continued, "This time we directly came here. We still haven't gone to your father's place to stay for a few days. So I was thinking that after staying in the manor for a few days, I will bring the two children to see your father." Xianyuan Mose walked up the mountain. It was unknown what he was thinking, but he asked, "How is Imochen now? Has he still not formed an immortal body?" Fengjiu didn't expect him to ask about Imochen. She stopped in her tracks and said, "She hasn't appeared since the last time. However, the aura of the golden lotus in the space is getting stronger and stronger, and she's being nourished by the pure spiritual energy in the space. I think it won't take long for her to condense an immortal body." She paused and looked at him, asking, "Why are you suddenly talking about Imochen?" During this time, the Devil Lord has been making a lot of movement. I can see that he is ready to make a move again. If the Black Lotus was not in his hands, it would be easier to deal with him. But with the Black Lotus in his hands, I don't know how much his strength has improved in these 2 years. The longer we delay, the harder it will be to deal with him in the future. So I was thinking that after returning this time, we will have to deal with the Devil Lord and take back or destroy the Black Lotus. Xianyuan Mose slowly explained his plan. Now, if there was anything in this world that he was afraid of, it should be the fact that the Black Lotus of Destruction had fallen into the hands of the Devil Lord. He had experienced it personally and naturally knew how dark and powerful the Black Lotus was. Especially now that they had a pair of children, he was even more worried about when things would explode out of control. Chapter 43:59. They were tired from running all the way, so they chose to have a good rest in this Peach Blossom Cove for 2 days before going home. In their opinion, there was no need to be anxious. This was the first time the 2 children had seen such a beautiful place. The whole peach blossom forest was so real in front of their eyes. Looking at the scene of petals flying in the wind, Yer couldn't help but pull Chin Xian beside her and asked, "Aunt Chin, will this peach blossom tree bear peaches?" "Yes." Chin Xian smiled. "But now is the time when the peach blossom is in full bloom. It will only bear peaches after the flowering period." "Wow, then won't there be big peaches hanging on this tree in the future? Yer wants to pick them personally." Her little face was filled with excitement and anticipation. At that moment she smiled and ran forward, shouting, Big brother, come and chase me! Come and chase me!" At this time, somewhere in this peach blossom forest, Xianyuan Hao, who was wearing a fitting blue robe, was sitting between the branches of a peach tree. He looked at this familiar peach blossom forest and thought of his father and mother in his heart. Since he was brought back by his biological father, he hadn't seen his father and mother for several years. He didn't know how they were now. Did they miss him? Although he had returned to the side of his biological parents, but in his heart, he always remembered that pair of parents who were strict and loved him dearly. Even if they were not his biological parents, but in his heart, their position was far higher than his biological parents. Because he missed his mother, every year when the peach blossom was in full bloom, he would quietly come here to stay for a few days and then go back. This Peach Blossom Cove was his mother's place, but the peach blossom was in full bloom every year, but he couldn't see his mother every year. Brother, come and chase me, come and chase me!" Not far away, the sound of laughter pulled back his thoughts. He looked at the direction of the sound and saw a chubby little girl wearing a pink dress running in the peach blossom forest with a pair of short little legs. From time to time, she would turn her head back and waved her hand while shouting. About 10 meters behind the little girl, a little boy in a white robe was walking at a leisurely pace. The little boy had the exact same face as the little girl, which made him feel surprised. Brother, come quickly." Yer was running, and seeing that she was about to be tripped by a branch on the ground, Hao who was sitting on the top of the branch, immediately jumped down and caught her. "Sister!" Mu Chen shouted as he ran forward. Chin Xian and Bai Qingqing, who were following behind, were slightly surprised. Looking at the familiar figure, they couldn't help but look at each other. "How are you? Are you hurt?" Hao hugged the little meatball that had fallen on his body. He realized that when he hugged her like this little person's body was soft and meaty. It was very comfortable. Yer blinked her beautiful eyes, then looking at this handsome and unfamiliar little brother before her eyes, she stood up, then politely thanked him. Thanks little brother, didn't hurt," she said with a beaming smile, then standing up, she patted the leaves stuck on her body. "Sister!" Mu Chen came to Yer's side and shielded her behind him. He looked at this boy who was much taller than them. Chapter 43:60. "Thank you for helping my sister. I'm her brother." Mu Chen's childish voice came out of his mouth, and he bowed respectfully to the person in front of him as a form of thanks. However, after bowing, he asked again, "This is the inner courtyard, a private place. How did you get in?" He had been playing with Aunt Sheen and the rest in this peach blossom cove. Along the way, he had told them about the difference between the inner courtyard and the inner courtyard. Naturally, he knew that this was the inner courtyard, and outsiders were not allowed to enter. The expression on his little face was serious, unlike that of an average 2- or 3-year-old child. Especially his soft voice, it was not threatening at all, but it made people want to laugh. Howard couldn't help but curl his lips when he saw the two identical little people in front of him. A trace of a smile flashed across his eyes. These two little guys were so small, so short, and two identical little faces. One had a straight face, looking like a little adult, while the other had a pair of curious and beautiful eyes, quick-witted and sly. He couldn't help but want to pinch those pink and tender little cheeks. Yes, back then, his mother liked to pinch his face. "Who are you? Why did you come in? You can't come in here, quickly get out," Moo-chin said, his gaze fixed on him. Howard returned to his senses and looked at the little guy in front of him. He asked, "Since you know that this is the inner courtyard and you can't come in to play, why did you come in?" "Little brother, this is my mother's place. So you and brother can come in to play." You poked her head out from behind Moo-chin and smiled sweetly at him. Howard was startled. "This is my mother's place. How can it be your mother's place? It's true, you isn't lying. This is Mother's Peach Blossom Cove. She brought us here," you said softly. Afraid that he wouldn't believe her, she quickly turned around and called out, Aunt Sheen, quickly come here. Quickly tell little brother that this is Mother's place. You isn't lying." Chin Xin, who was behind the peach tree, came out at this time. She smiled and looked at Howard. After seeing Howard, she asked Chin to inform her master and the others because no one expected Howard to be here. She was originally thinking of hiding at one side to see what would happen when these three children met, but who would have thought that you would call her out? "Aunt Sheen?" Howard's eyes widened when he saw the familiar face. "Howard," Chin Xin called out with a smile. Moo-chin looked at Howard and then at Chin Xin. "Aunt Sheen, do you know him?" Chin Xin smiled and said, "Yes." "Who is he?" Moo-chin asked. As intelligent as Xian Yuan Hao was, he looked at the two identical little fellows and then looked at the familiar Chin Xin beside them. A thought flashed in his mind and his gaze fell on the two little fellows again. He looked at their exquisite and outstanding faces and vaguely guessed their identities. "Aunt Sheen, are they father and mother's children?" Howard asked. This time, it was Moo-chin and Yu-er's turn to be confused. Chapter 4361. When the two little fellows heard this, they couldn't help but widen their beautiful eyes. They looked at the person in front of them who was several years older than them with astonishment. This time, Howard looked at the two little fellows in front of him seriously. The more he looked, the more he felt that they resembled his mother. At this moment, he caught a glimpse of a red figure coming over from the corner of his eye. When he looked up, that familiar face was reflected in his eyes. Surprise overflowed on that cold little face. "Mother!" Howard quickly ran toward that familiar figure and threw himself into her arms. Smelling the familiar scent on her body, his eyes couldn't help but redden. "Mother, mother, Howard missed mother so much," he said in a choked voice. His hands clutched her dress tightly as if he was afraid that she would disappear again. Howard! Fengjiu was overjoyed to see him. This child whom she had raised single-handedly was already so big. "Come, let mother see how much taller Howard has grown." She chuckled and stroked his head, carefully sizing him up. Howard stood up straight and looked at her with reddened eyes. While she was sizing him up, he was also looking at her. He saw that his mother hadn't changed. She was still the mother he was familiar with. She was still the mother who would look at him with a doting expression. "Howard has grown a lot taller and more handsome." Fengjiu chuckled and pinched his little face with a doting expression. "Howard has always listened to mother and worked hard to cultivate," he said. "Yes, mother knows. Seeing Hao-er's current strength and cultivation, Mother knows that Hao-er has been working hard to cultivate. Fengjiu looked at his thin little face and asked sympathetically, "But why is Hao-er so thin? Did you only focus on cultivating and didn't eat?" "I did eat," he said. "However, because he cultivated so much every day, he didn't gain much weight." "Who accompanied you here? How long have you been here? Why didn't you go home?" Fengjiu asked. He looked around and didn't find anyone else accompanying him. "Father sent someone to accompany me, but I don't like him following me, so I didn't let him guard here. I've already been here for 2 days. Every year I'll come here to stay for a few days before going back. But I didn't expect to meet Mother this year. Mother, I want to live with Mother. I don't want to go back to Father's place." He hugged her arm and spoke the words in his heart. He wanted to stay by his mother's side and didn't want to go back there. Although his parents also treated him very well, he always felt that they did not treat him as well as they did. Especially after his parents had a younger brother, it was even more obvious. Mu Chen and Yu-er, who had been watching from the side for a long time, looked at each other. At this time, they stepped forward and came to their mother's side. "Mother." The 2 little guys looked at the person who claimed to be their elder brother with hostility in their eyes. Was this little brother here to snatch Mother away from them? Fengjiu looked at the 3 little guys beside her and chuckled. "Come, Mother will introduce you. Chen Yu-er, this is your brother Hao. Quick, call him brother." Chapter 4362. Mu Chen also pursed his lips and refused to call him that. Because in his opinion, this person who suddenly came here was not their brother. Now that they had to call him brother, he was unhappy. Moreover, this person called their mother mother. It was obvious that he was here to snatch their mother from them. This made him feel a strong sense of danger, so he stared at him warily like a little hedgehog. Fengjiu was stunned. She thought that the children would be very happy to see each other, but she did not expect Mu Chen and Mu Yu to feel so repulsed by Hao. For a moment, she was a little surprised and did not understand. What was going on? Hao-er was already sensible. He knew that he was not his parents' biological child. Now that his parents had a biological child, would they still treat him as before? For a moment, his little face was a little pale. He stood there with his lips pursed and did not speak. The cold aura on his body became stronger. Fengjiu squatted down beside the 3 children and looked at them. She said, "The 3 of you are all my treasures. You are all my favorite children, so you must get along well. You can't be like this, understand?" But little brother will snatch Mother away," Yu-er whispered. Looking at her little brother's red eyes, she felt that she had done something wrong. She felt a little guilty. Hearing this, Fengjiu was stunned. Then, she chuckled. She turned back and asked Qin Xin and the others to prepare some food that the children liked to eat. Then, she led them to sit under the peach blossom tree. "Mother is your mother. No one can take her away from you. In the past, when you 2 were young, Mother wasn't by your side, so I didn't tell you about Hao-er. I guess your father didn't mention it to you either, right? Why don't I tell you why Hao-er calls me mother?" When the 2 little guys heard this, they couldn't help but look at each other, then at Hao-er beside them. Only then did they nod. Okay. Thus, the 3 children sat under the peach blossom tree and listened to Fengjiu talk about things that they did not know back then in detail. When Xianyuan Mose came looking for them, he saw the 3 of them sitting under the peach blossom tree. The peach blossom and the people under the tree set off each other. The scene was extremely beautiful. He slowly walked forward and listened to their whispers. He listened to the 2 little ones' cries of surprise until they stood up when they saw him. "Father!" Yu-er happily rushed forward and said, "Father, we are listening to Mother talk about Big Brother Hao's childhood." "Father!" Mu Chen also called out, but he did not step forward. Hao-er greets father. Seeing him, Hao-er smiled and bowed respectfully. "Yes, I heard that Hao-er was here, so I came over to take a look. Your mother originally wanted to send you a message when she got home, but she didn't expect you to be here," Xianyuan Mo said as he carried her and walked forward. Looking at the three children, he said, "It seems that you all already know each other." "We know each other," Mu Chen said as he looked at Hao and said, "From now on, he will be yours and my big brother." Although he was young and not very sensible, after hearing those things from his mother, he gradually recognized him in his heart. Even if he was not their father and mother's biological son, in the future, they would still call him Big Brother. Chapter 43-63. Hearing this, the two children looked at each other and nodded. Yes, we understand. Qin Xin and the others have already prepared the children's favorite food in front. Let's go together. Xianyuan Mose looked at Fengjiu and said. Then, he reached out to Hao. Hao, let's go. Yes. Hao looked at the big hand reaching out to him and reached out to take it. Feeling his father's big hand holding his small hand tightly, he couldn't help but look up at him with a happy smile in his eyes. Father, I don't want to go back. I want to be with you, is that okay? Hao asked as he walked with him. Fengjiu held the two children's hands and followed behind while listening to the two people in front of them talk. Why don't you want to go back? Don't your father and the others treat you well? Xianyuan Mose asked and lowered his head to look at him. Hao shook his head and said, No, they treat me very well. They never treat me badly when it comes to food and things. Since that's the case, why don't you want to go back? Xianyuan Mose asked again. I want to be with father, mother, and brother and sister, he said in a small voice and lowered his head slightly. Fengjiu saw this and said with a smile, This matter isn't urgent. Let's talk about it later. But now that we're back here and you're here, then come back home with us tomorrow and stay for a few days. I'll send someone to inform your father. Hearing this, he was happy and a smile appeared on his cold face. Thank you, mother. He looked at the two identical siblings beside his mother and said, I'll take care of them. Fengjiu couldn't help but shake his head and chuckle. You're still a child yourself. How can you take care of these two little devils? You just met them and don't know. Once you get familiar with them, you'll know that these two little fellows are extremely naughty, especially you. Fengjiu glanced at her daughter beside her and saw that the little one was smiling with an innocent and harmless face. She couldn't help but secretly shake her head. This year was really weird. The family went to the pavilion in front and ate while admiring the peach blossoms. Fengjiu saw that the three children had gradually integrated from the initial rejection of strangers. Fengjiu smiled and said to Xianyuan Mose, Stay with them for a while. I'll be back soon. Xianyuan Mose replied, then glanced at her. His gaze once again fell upon the three children playing in the peach blossom forest. Fengjiu got up and left. At the same time, she indicated for Du Fan to follow her. When they reached a place where there was no one, she stopped and said to Du Fan, Go to the Black Tortoise Monarch's side personally and tell him that Mose and I have returned. We haven't seen Hao for a long time and missed him. Hao just happened to be at the Peach Blossom Cove, so let him stay with us for a while. Okay. Du Fan responded and didn't leave. Instead, he looked at her. He believed that master still had things to tell him. Fengjiu paused and said, When you go over, find out how Hao has been with his father these past few years. Remember, don't alarm them. Just quietly ask around. I want to hear the truest news. Chapter 43-64. All right, I know what to do. Du Fan replied before turning to leave. Fengjiu walked forward and watched the three children chase and play in the peach blossom forest. Waves of laughter spread through the peach blossoms. She could not help but slightly raise the corners of her lips, revealing a smile. If the future could continue to be this beautiful and happy, that would be great. The next day, the Feng Manor began to get busy early in the morning. Everyone's faces were filled with smiles of joy and anticipation. There was no other reason other than that they had received news from Fengjiu that they would be returning home today. Quickly, quickly. Clean that place up. See if there's anything missing from the yard? Quickly prepare it. Has the kitchen maid gone to buy groceries? Call a few people to go with her and buy some more groceries. Because Feng Sanyuan knew that Fengjiu and the others were returning, he was so excited that he could not stop smiling. He ordered the manor's servants to begin preparing. Arrange some flowers in the vase in the room. Go to the garden and pick some. How can these things be placed here? No, it has to be like this. As Feng Sanyuan spoke, he saw that the servants were not doing things to his liking, so he wanted to do it himself. However, he was stopped by Feng Xiao, who had rushed over. Father, just go sit in the front for a while. They know what to do. Also, we will be watching. Feng Xiao helplessly said as he pulled him outside. What are you doing? I need to give them some orders. Feng Sanyuan said as he patted his hand, indicating for him to stop. Father, I'll take care of this place. Shangguan Wanrong walked over and gently said with a smile. Xiao Jiu's yard has always been cleaned. The things in the room have not been touched. They can directly move in when they return. They haven't been back for many years, and no one has lived here for many years. It lacks a bit of human activity. That's why. Have the maidservants go to the garden and arrange some flowers in the room. Feng girl will like them. Feng Sanyuan ordered. All right, I know. Wanrong replied with a smile and said, Father, go sit in the front yard for a while. Maybe Xiao Jiu and the others will be here soon. Hearing this, Feng Sanyuan slapped his head. That's right. It's getting late. Maybe they'll be here soon. All right, I'll leave the rest to you guys. Tell the kitchen to make more of Feng's favorite dishes, as well as some pastries that children like. All right, I will explain it to you. She responded with a smile and watched him rush forward. Only then did she say to Feng Xiao, You also go to the front. I'll take care of the rest. All right, I'll go to the front to accompany Dad. He's been so excited since last night when he found out that Xiao Jiu and the others are coming back today, Feng Xiao said with a smile and patted her hand before walking forward. Although the Phoenix Dynasty was still called the Phoenix Dynasty, it was the only country that did not have a monarch. It was formed by the various family forces, and the Feng family was the leader of the various family forces. The people of the nearby countries did not dare to make a move against this unremarkable little country. Instead, they tried to befriend them. Thus, over the years, the people of the Phoenix Dynasty lived better and better lives. Although no one said it, they all remembered the good of the Feng family. Chapter 43-65. Before the steward could speak, Feng Xiao, who was walking behind him, quickly stopped him. Father, if you run to the city gate and wait, the people in the city who don't know will think that something has happened. You just wait at home. When they arrive, they will naturally come home. I'll be waiting at home and waiting outside. If I go outside, I'll be able to see them faster. Also, they brought 3 children back. I don't know if they can take care of them? Feng Sanyuan said, feeling a bit worried. After all, Feng girl's twin children weren't even 3 years old yet. Adding on how, if these 3 children were to run around, how could they take care of them? In my opinion, just let him go. Su Shi walked out from behind with a smile on her face, saying, It's not like you don't know your father's temperament. If he knows that Feng girl is back, can he still sit at home? Just let him wait at the city gate. But Feng Xiao was a bit hesitant. What's there to but? Feng girl's return is a good thing. It's not like it's something shameful. That's why I said we can't let the people in the city know. All right, let's leave it at that. You look after the manor. I'll go to the city gate and wait for them. Feng Sanyuan said. Without waiting for Feng Xiao to say anything else, his figure flashed and rushed outside. Father! Feng Xiao called out. Su Shi smiled and said, Let him go. I'll go to the kitchen to take a look. Saying this, she turned and left. When the people in the city saw Feng Sanyuan arrive at the city gate, they all had astonishment on their faces. This old master Feng's cultivation was getting stronger and stronger. His current appearance was also the same as when he was at his peak. He looked even younger than the Feng family's head, Feng Shao. Normally, he rarely went out. Why did he come to the city gate now? Old Master Feng, why did you go out today? A middle-aged man greeted with a smile. Ha, today's a good day, so I came out for a walk. Feng Sanyuan laughed in a clear voice. After arriving at the city gate, he didn't leave. He just walked around the city gate. The city guards guarding the city gate couldn't help but become nervous. Old Master, what's the matter? The captain of the city guards hurried to his side when he saw him. It's fine, it's fine. You guys do what you need to do. Don't worry about me. Feng Sanyuan waved his hand, indicating for them to ignore him. Yes, yes. The captain of the city guards replied. He could only signal with his eyes for the city guards to stand properly and not make any mistakes. Sanyuan, what are you doing here so early in the morning? Gung family's old man was preparing to go outside the city early in the morning to stretch his muscles. Unexpectedly, he saw Feng Sanyuan walking back and forth at the city gate. He was looking around as if he was waiting for someone. When Feng Sanyuan heard this voice, he glanced at him and said, Why are you here so early in the morning? Haha, don't you know? Recently, I've been meeting a few old friends outside the city every morning to talk about cultivation. I usually go in the morning and come back at noon. Old man Gung smiled and said, Do you have nothing better to do? Do you want to join in the fun with me? Not going, not going. What's there to talk about with you? You can't beat me. Feng Sanyuan proudly raised his chin. His eyes were full of smiles. Chapter 4366. Hearing his question, Feng Sanyuan glanced around. Then, he stepped forward and put his arm around Old Man Gung's shoulder. He whispered in Old Man Gung's ear, I only told you because I saw it was you. Little Feng and the others are coming back. I'm waiting for them here. They're coming back? Old Man Gung was very happy when he heard this. Speaking of which, I haven't seen them for many years. Yes. Last night, when I heard that they would be here today, I came to the city gate early in the morning to wait for them. Let me tell you, you still don't know that they gave birth to a pair of twins, right? They're almost 3 years old. I heard from little Feng that they're very cute. When Feng Sanyuan talked about this, he was like an old urchin. His eyes were full of excitement. This kind of thing made him happy and proud. He wanted to share it with everyone. After all, the happier something was, the happier it was to share it with others. Since they're coming back this time, let them stay longer so that the children can accompany you. Old Man Gung said and patted his shoulder. I won't get involved with you. Today is their first day back. You should have a good family gathering. In a few days, I'll visit your house again. Okay, no problem. You still have things to do. Go ahead. I'll be waiting here. Feng Sanyuan said and patted his shoulder. Come home in a few days. I'll prepare some good wine for you. Ha, okay. Old Man Gung cupped his hands and stepped out of the city gate. Feng Jiu and the others in Peach Blossom Cove had a good rest and got up early in the morning. They also knew that they told their families last night that they would be looking forward to their return early today. So, they didn't want to stay up too late. Early in the morning, they sat on the purple gold spirit deer and went to the city. Ling Hua drove the carriage, while Qi Kong and the others followed beside the spirit deer. Before they arrived at the city gate, they saw a familiar figure looking around from afar. When Feng Jiu saw the figure, he smiled and said to the 3 children, Look, your great-grandfather is waiting for us there. Where? You, who was originally leaning against the window, hurriedly asked. Looking towards the direction her mother was pointing at, she didn't see any old man with shining white beard, so she couldn't help but ask in confusion, Mother, where is great-grandfather? You didn't see anything. Little sister, The one in front wearing a green robe is great-grandfather. Hao pointed out for her to make it easier for her to recognize. He looks so young. He doesn't look like great-grandpa. Doesn't great-grandpa have a white beard? She asked doubtfully. He is your great-grandfather, no mistake. Fengjiu chuckled, seeing her grandfather waiting for them to come back. His heart could not help but warm. When Feng Sanyuan saw the familiar spirit deer carriage, he couldn't help but show a happy smile. Ha 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 ha, it's here, it's here, it's here. He waved his hand and shouted. The spirit deer carriage approached from afar. When it arrived at the city gate, the spirit deer carriage also stopped. Fengjiu got off first. Seeing the familiar grandfather, he couldn't help but walk forward and hug him. Grandfather, I'm back. Chapter 4367. Are these two little guys Mu Chun and Mu Yu? He couldn't help but quickly step forward and came to the side of the spirit deer carriage. Great-grandfather. The two little guys softly called out and showed him a sweet smile. Ha 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 ha, good good, very good. Quickly let great-grandfather take a good look at you. Feng Sanyuan picked up one in each hand and hugged the two chubby little guys in his arms. At the same time, he said to Fengjiu, You are quite heavy ah. Time flew by so quickly. You are already so big. Great-grandfather. Hao also poked his head out and looked at him. Hao, you have also grown a lot taller, but why are you so thin? Did you not eat? It's fine, it's fine. Great-grandfather has already asked the kitchen to make your favorite dishes. Feng Sanyuan said with a smile. Looking at these three great-grandchildren, he was very happy in his heart. Thank you, great-grandfather. Hao-er's face showed a smile, and his eyes were full of joy. Grandfather. Xianyuan Mose came down from the spirit deer carriage and saluted him. And it's good that you are back. Feng Sanyuan smiled and nodded. Grandfather, these two little guys are heavy. Put them down and let them walk on their own. Fengjiu said and looked at the two children in his arms. Great-grandfather, Chun-er can walk on his own. The little guy said. You-er can also walk on her own, great-grandfather. You-er also quickly said. Good good good, then great-grandfather will hold your hands and walk, okay? Feng Sanyuan said with a smile and put them down. Holding one in each hand, he said. Go go go, the family is waiting for you. Hao-er come. Fengjiu stretched out his hand towards Hao-er and said, We will follow great-grandfather back. She knew her grandfather's personality. Now that he was holding his two great-grandsons' hands, he was so happy that he couldn't wait for the whole city to share his joy and let them see his two great-grandsons. Xianyuan Mose and Fengjiu held Hao-er's hand and followed behind Feng Sanyuan. They watched as he held a child in each hand. When he met someone familiar, he smiled and greeted them. He happily introduced them to them. This is my great-grandson, Feng girl's children. They are a pair of twins. Old master, this pair of children is really good-looking. Ha 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 ha, of course, they are Feng girl and Emoze's children. Of course they are good-looking. It's eldest Miss Feng's child? I didn't expect the child to have grown so big in just a few years. He's really growing up. The people on the road kept praising them. Looking at the two identical and well-behaved children, they liked them very much. Look at that little face, it's so pretty. Old master, you're so lucky to have such a pair of adorable great-grandsons. Xianyuan Mose and Fengjiu held Hao-er's hand and watched from behind. They watched as all the familiar people they met along the way introduced them to the pair of children they were holding with a smile. Hao followed behind and watched. Although his parents were holding his hand, when he heard those people say that his younger brother and sister looked like his parents, he couldn't help but hold their hands tightly. He wasn't his parents' biological child. He didn't look like them. If only he was his parents' biological child. Chapter 4368. Hearing this, he raised his head and looked at his mother. Seeing the smile and doting in her eyes, his heart warmed and he solemnly nodded. and how will protect my younger siblings. How is so obedient. Fengjiu praised while leading him forward. Behind them, the spirit deer carriage and Qi Kong and the others unhurriedly followed. Looking at them in front, their faces overflowed with smiles. Because they walked back to Feng residence, it could be said that on this day, everyone in the city knew that they had returned. Even some people from aristocratic families came out to see them after hearing the news. They're here, they're here. Yi Jing held the child's hand and looked at the group of people coming from afar. Her face was full of excitement. Ever since they got married, they settled here. It's just that Guan Shilin would occasionally go out. This time, he was invited by the black market and had yet to return. If he knew that Feng Zhou and the others had returned, he would be very happy. The two children who were led by Feng Sanyuan saw so many people in front of the door. Yuer couldn't help but blink. She looked up and curiously asked, "Great-grandfather, who are they?" "Ha ha ha ha, come, great-grandfather will tell you who they are one by one," Feng Sanyuan said with a smile and led the two forward. However, before he could speak, Wan Rong and Su Shi impatiently stepped forward. "This is Mu Chen and Mu Yu, right? Ai, they look so cute. Look at their eyebrows, they look so much like their mother." Wan Rong picked up Yuer and looked at Mu Chen. Her eyes were full of joy. "Their little faces are so handsome, ah. They really look like their parents," Su Shi also said with a smile. She touched Mu Chen's pink and tender face and hugged him tightly in her arms. When had the two little fellows ever encountered such enthusiasm? Being hugged and kissed and touched by them, the two little fellows couldn't help but flatten their little mouth. They stretched out their hands towards Fengjiu and shouted, "Mother, mother!" Seeing this scene, Fengjiu couldn't help but chuckle. "It's fine. That's your grandmother and great-grandmother. They kissed you because they like you. Don't be afraid." Feng Sanyuan saw that the two children were about to cry from fright. He quickly stepped forward and said, all right. Look at you. You've scared the two children. Come. Great-grandpa will hug you." He reached out his hands to hug the two of them, but the two of them took a step back to avoid him. "Let us hug you. Be good. Don't be afraid. I won't kiss you guys anymore. The two of them carried the children and walked inside. As they coaxed the two children, they took out some toys for them to play with. Seeing the two children's faces change from pouting at the beginning to surprise and happiness at the end, Xianyuan Mose couldn't help but secretly shake his head and reveal a helpless smile. These two children were really easy to coax. That wouldn't do. It wouldn't be good if she was easily coaxed away. I'll have to remind them again when I get back. Unless it's a close family member, they can't take or eat anything from strangers. Yi Jing. Fengjiu stepped forward and hugged her after not seeing her for a long time. He asked with a smile, "Your complexion looks good. It seems that you've been living well here these past few years. By the way, where's my brother?" Fengjiu asked. Chapter 4369. Aunt Jiu. The child looked at Fengjiu curiously and obediently called out to his mother. "Good boy." Fengjiu replied with a smile. She patted the child's head and took out a night-luminescent pearl from her space and handed it to him. "This pearl is for you to play with. Aunt Jiu will give you some good things later. The child is still young. It's not suitable for him to hold this. Quickly put it away," Yi Jing said and pushed the night-luminescent pearl back to her. "Why are you being so courteous with me?" Fengjiu raised her eyebrows and looked at her. She smiled and said, "Isn't it just a pearl? It's not something expensive. Come, take it. This is not a meeting gift. I'll give you a meeting gift later." She chuckled and gently scratched the child's nose. She said, "Yi Jing, this child looks like my brother. Look at his appearance. It's as if he came out of the same mold. Quickly thank Aunt Jiu." Yi Jing saw that she couldn't refuse, so she could only let the child take it and let him thank her quickly. "Thank you, Aunt Jiu." The child smiled happily and took the pearl to play with it curiously. They all say that he looks like his father. Needless to say, he's his child. Yi Jing smiled and said, "Go in first? Let's talk inside. Don't stand here. Come, go in. Your great-grandfather asked the kitchen to prepare your favorite food early. He even dug out the little toys you used to play with." Hao-er's eyes lit up when he heard that. He said to Xianyuan, Mose and Fengjiu, "Daddy, Mommy, I'll go in first. Bring the little brother along." Fengjiu said and looked at the dignified little boy beside him. She couldn't help but smile when she saw that the little boy's face was similar to Guan Xilin's. Her brother's son looked dignified and was really cute. "Yiming, go. Go in with brother Hao and play with your younger brothers and sisters." Yi Jing gestured for her son to come forward. Yes. The little boy wasn't afraid of strangers and followed Hao eagerly. This brat is so dignified. He's so cute. Fengjiu couldn't help smiling when he saw the little girl and Hao grinning from ear to ear. Very naughty. Come, let's go in and chat. Yi Jing held her hand and walked inside. She smiled and said, "Your father specially went to move those children's toys and brought them all to the front yard. He said that he would let the children pick what they liked. He's probably still busy inside. I was wondering why I didn't see him." Fengjiu chuckled and chatted with her as they walked inside. Xianyuan Mose walked at the back. Behind him, Qi Kong and the others also walked inside. When they saw familiar people, they all went up to greet them. The entire Feng Manor was filled with a lively and joyous atmosphere. The people outside the manor watched from a distance. They were curious and joyful as they discussed. When Xianyuan Mose and Fengjiu arrived inside, they saw Feng Sanyuan and Feng Xiao standing to the side and helping the children eat. Su Shi and Wan Rong were busy feeding the children. Seeing the little ones' mouths bulging like little squirrels, Fengjiu couldn't help but shake his head and helplessly smile. She walked over to her father and said with a smile, "Daddy, I'm back." Chapter 4370. Fengjiu sighed and said, "I was worried that you wouldn't be able to sleep if I told you. I wanted to tell you before coming over in the morning, but I was afraid that you would be flustered." It's fine. Don't talk about not sleeping for one night. It's fine even if we don't sleep for 10 days or half a month. Don't make a fuss." Feng Sanyuan waved his hand and said, "Little Feng, it's fine if your grandmother and the others accompany the children here. We haven't sat down and had a good drink in a long time. Mose, let's go inside and have a few drinks." Xianyuan Mose and Fengjiu looked at each other and nodded with a smile. Okay. Then, they followed him inside with Yi Jing and Feng Xiao. After they sat down, Feng Xiao asked someone to serve the dishes. Yi Jing took the wine pot and poured a cup for them. "Sai, when you were fighting the Black Lotus Lord, we knew, but we couldn't help. We're really ashamed. Fortunately, you all recovered later. Otherwise, we would feel uneasy," Feng Sanyuan said as he picked up some food for Fengjiu. "Grandfather, don't mention the past anymore. Besides, we're all fine now, aren't we?" Fengjiu said with a smile. Looking at the bowl full of her favorite dishes, the smile on his face deepened. Even if she hadn't come back for a few years, they still remembered her favorite dishes. Right. Come, let's drink and eat. They came back today, so let's talk about happy things. Let's not talk about the past anymore," Feng Xiao said, then said to Xianyuan Mose, "Come, Mose, let's eat." Xianyuan Mose made a sound of acknowledgement, then picked up some food to eat. "By the way, have you brought the children to see the in-laws?" Feng Sanyuan asked. "Not yet." Fengjiu took a sip of wine and said, "After we came back, we went to Peach Blossom Cove first. We planned to stay there for a day or two, but we wanted to rest well before coming back. Then we met Hao there, so we only stayed for a day. Let's stay here for a while. After a while, Mose and I will go back with the children and stay there for a while. And we have to go back and stay for a few days. If the in-laws see the two children, they will definitely be very happy," Feng Sanyuan said with a smile. At the table, they drank and chatted. They talked about the things they had encountered over the years and the interesting stories of the two children growing up. Until a few children rushed in from outside. Father, mother. Mother. A few children trotted in and came to their side. Their small faces were filled with joy. Mother, Brother Yiming is so amazing. He eats a lot. Yu blinked her beautiful eyes and said to Fengjiu in surprise in her soft voice. As she spoke, she gestured with her small hand. Mother, this is the small wooden sword brother gave me. Mu Chun took out a new small wooden sword and handed it to Fengjiu to look at. Guan Yiming, on the other hand, lay beside Yi Jing and stared at Mu Chun and Mu Yu's identical little faces. After a while, he looked up at his mother and said, Mother, you should also give birth to a pair of identical little brothers and sisters for me. I also want younger siblings like them. Chapter 43:71. Chun and Yu are also your younger siblings. Besides, don't they also call you Brother Yiming? Fengjiu chuckled as she looked at the dignified Guan Yiming. Guan Yiming blinked and looked at Mu Chun and Mu Yu, then at his mother and Fengjiu. He didn't speak for a long time and just laughed foolishly. On this day, the long-separated family had a good reunion. The children played together for the whole day. It wasn't until nightfall that Feng Sanyuan let them go back to rest early. A few days later, when Fengjiu was chatting with her mother and grandmother in the courtyard, she saw the dignified Guan Yiming running in excitedly. Aunt Jiu, my father is back. Fengjiu smiled. Oh? Your father is back? Where is he? At home. He said he'll come over after bathing and changing his clothes. Guan Yiming looked left and right and asked, Aunt Jiu, where are Brother Chun'er and Sister Yu? They and Hao were called by their grandfather and great-grandfather. They're probably at the martial arts field. Fengjiu chuckled. I'll go play with them, the little guy said and ran away. It's great that the children are together, Su she said with a smile. She thought of her son and couldn't help but sigh. It would be great if Yer came back too. Fengjiu chuckled. Grandmother, little uncle is cultivating under his master. That place is quiet and without dispute. It's also a good thing. When they leave the mountain in the future, they will naturally come back. She smiled and said, At that time, if grandmother can't bear to part with little uncle, let him stay at home with you for a while. If little uncle wants to go to the academy to study or enter a sect, I can also arrange it for him. Su she smiled and said, We'll talk about this later. There's no hurry. By the way, Xiaojiu, when do you plan to bring the children to see their grandfather? Wanrong asked. Let's stay here for a while first. Moze has already sent a message back and told his father that they are here now. He also told him that we will stay here for a while before going over, so we're not in a hurry to go over there. Besides, it's convenient to go there now. We only need a transmission array to get there, and it won't take long to go back and forth. Fengjiu chuckled. Compared to the other side, she naturally preferred to live here, so she wanted to stay here for a while before going over. Where do you plan to live in the future? There's nothing else to do now. You've become the lords of heaven and earth, and are so powerful. Ordinary people won't make trouble for you. The sovereigns of the other heavens and earth are also on good terms with you. Only the Devil Master who obtained the Black Lotus is left. What do you plan to do about this? Wanrong looked at her and asked. She was also worried about this matter. Actually, Moze and I plan to bring the children back and hand them over to you to take care of. Then we'll go find the Devil Master to resolve this matter. The longer this matter drags on, the harder it will be to deal with it. Previously, my strength had not recovered and I had many things to do. Now, the other things are more or less arranged. We just need to deal with the Devil Master and take back the Black Lotus to purify. As she spoke, her voice paused and she smiled. But this matter is easier said than done. Chapter 43:72. Grandmother, Mother, I'm going to my brother's residence. If the children are looking for me, tell them that I'll be back soon. She stood up and said to the two of them, Okay, go ahead. The children are accompanied by your grandfather and the others, so they won't be coming for a while. You two brothers have been separated for a long time. It's rare for you two to meet, so you should have a good chat. Su, she said with a smile. Thus, Fengjiu bowed to the two of them and walked out of the residence, arriving at the Guan residence. When Yi Jing heard the housekeeper say that she was here, she came out to welcome her. She smiled and said, Your brother is travel-worn. I told him to take a bath first before going to see you. I didn't expect you to come. Come, let's sit inside for a while. Yiming went over to talk about it. It just so happens that there's nothing much to do. The children are also with Grandpa and the others, so I came over to sit. As Fengjiu spoke, she walked towards the front hall with her. Yi Jing instructed the housekeeper to tell Guan Shilin that Fengjiu was here. She then chatted with Fengjiu in the hall. After bathing, Guan Shilin strode out of the room and saw the housekeeper waiting outside the courtyard. When he approached, he heard that Fengjiu and Yi Jing were in the front hall, so he went straight to the front hall. Before he reached the hall, he heard laughter coming from inside. He strode in and couldn't help but smile when he saw the familiar red figure. Xiaojiu, you're finally back. Brother. Fengjiu stood up and said, I've been back for a few days. When I heard that you were back, I wanted to come over and have a chat with you. Ha 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 ha, good. Sit. Guan Shilin laughed loudly and gestured for her to sit down. He then sat beside her and looked at her. When he saw her current strength, he couldn't help but smile and say, It seems that you've recovered your strength. That's good. We can rest assured. You two can continue chatting. I'll go to the kitchen to make something for you two to eat, Yi Jing said with a smile. She stood up and walked out, giving the two of them some space to talk. You don't have to be too busy. Just check if there are any pastries and snacks in the kitchen, Guan Shilin said with a smile. I know. You guys continue chatting. Yi Jing smiled and nodded at Fengjiu before walking out. Seeing this, Fengjiu smiled and said, My strength has been restored, and I've been idle recently. I've been staying at home to accompany my children. You, on the other hand, have become a busy person after not seeing you for so long. I heard that the black market is looking for you to help them with something? Hee, that's right. The black market asked me to go over and help them. It's not a big deal. Once the matter was settled, I heard that you came back, so I hurried back. Now that you're back, you don't plan to leave, right? There shouldn't be anything important to deal with now, right? We'll be staying here mainly because of the two children. We plan to. She told him her plan. Originally, it was like that. That's good too. It's safer for the two children to stay here. You don't know this, but after living here for a few years, I've realized that it's more peaceful and comfortable than here. So, look at me now. Unless there's something special, I usually don't leave this place for too long. Moreover, Yi Jing and the children are here, so I can't bear to go too far. At this point, Guan Shilin revealed a smile. His smile exuded a sense of happiness, and anyone who saw it would be able to feel his happiness. Chapter 43-73. Where the family was, that was where the home was. Where the home was, that was where the heart would be at ease. The brother and sister had not been together for a long time. The two chatted for a while, and forgot about the time until the children came to find them. Come, Aunt Jiu and my father are in the front hall. Guan Yiming felt as if he was in his own territory. He walked in front and took care of Mu Chen and Mu Yu, who were younger than him. Brother Chen, let brother Hao hold your hand. I will hold sister Yu so that she won't fall. The little guy said and held Yu-er's little hand with a simple and honest smile on his face. I will take you to see my father. Let me tell you, my father is very powerful. When the little guy heard this, he hurriedly said, Yu-er's father is the most powerful. My father is also amazing. My father can move very, very big stones. Moreover, my father can lift me up high, Guan Yiming said proudly. However, when they heard this, not only Yu was stunned, even Chen was at a loss. The two twins looked at each other as if they had a tacit understanding. Yu curiously asked, Brother Yiming, what is lifting high? The little guy seemed to have not expected that they would ask this. For a moment, he was also stunned and asked, Have you never played lifting high? No. Yu shook her head and softly said, My father doesn't know how to raise high, and he also doesn't know how to move big stones. She had never seen her father move big stones. Moreover, why would he want to move big stones? Then my father is more powerful. Guan Yiming smiled happily and said, In a while, let my father lift you up high. It will be very fun. Let's go. He said and led Yu to the front hall. Feng Jiu and Guan Shilin were chatting in the hall. With the strength of the two of them, even if they did not deliberately listen, they could still hear the children outside. They looked at each other and smiled. Then the children came in together. Father! Guan Yiming rushed forward and looked at Feng Jiu. He called out, Aunt Jiu! Why are you guys here? Feng Jiu chuckled as he rubbed Yiming's head. We missed Mother, so we came to look for Mother, Yu said while looking at Guan Shilin from time to time. Hao greets Uncle. Hao stepped forward and bowed, then looked at Feng Jiu. Mother. Feng Jiu smiled and nodded. Guan Shilin laughed heartily. Hao has also grown a lot taller. Come here, let Uncle take a look. He beckoned for him to come forward. Hao walked up to his side. Why are you so skinny? Are you being picky? Guan Shilin asked. Looking at the young boy's cold aura, he could not help but raise his eyebrows. The little guy had grown taller, but he was not as strong as before. 2 years ago, his aura was not as cold as this. It's probably because he's been busy cultivating and tired, so he's lost weight. I'll let him stay here with us for a while, and take good care of his body. As she spoke, she looked at Mu Chen and Mu Yu and said, You two, hurry up and greet your uncle. Mu Chen. Mu Yu. Greetings, uncle. The two little guys said at the same time. Chapter 4374. Uncle gave it to you, take it. Feng Jiu said with a smile. Take it. Your brother used to have one too. Guan Shilin smiled and looked at Hao. Thank you, uncle. The two little guys reached out to take the gifts and kept them properly. Then, Yu blinked her eyes and looked at her uncle who was stronger than her father. She asked curiously, Uncle, what do you mean by lifting him up high? Brother Yiming said that you will lift him up high. Ha 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 ha, come, Uncle will tell you what it means to be lifted up high. Guan Shilin laughed happily and his laughter filled the hall. He stood up and went forward to pick up the little one and lifted him up high above his head. This is what it means to be lifted up high, is it fun? Guan Shilin asked with a smile. Ha ha, Yu giggled. From being carried up to being lifted up to the top, and again coming down and then being lifted up again, this up and down was very amusing to her. Even if she didn't say it, from that happy laughter of hers one could tell. It's fun, uncle, it's fun. Hao looked at this scene and a smile appeared on his little face. Mu Chen's eyes widened as he looked at her with a look of disbelief. So this is what it means to be lifted up high. He didn't think much of it. Mu Chen, do you want to play? Guan Shilin put Yu down and turned to ask little Mu Chen who was standing beside Feng Jiu. No. Mu Chen shook his head and lay in his mother's arms. Ha ha ha, this kid's character is the same as Hao's, just like their father. Guan Shilin laughed and looked at the children. He said to Feng Jiu, Now that there are a few children accompanying us, it's much livelier. Yes. It's like fighting in a ring every day at home, especially my grandfather, who takes them everywhere to play. It's only been a few days since we came back, but I guess all the familiar aristocratic families in the city have already visited us. Feng Jiu smiled helplessly and looked at the children with doting eyes. The kids are here too? Why don't we eat here today? Yi Jing walked in with a tray in her hands. On the tray were 2 plates of exquisite dessert. Of course not. You know that my mother and grandmother have been telling the kitchen to cook this and that. They also said that Hao is too thin and needs more nourishment. They cook delicious food every day. Fengju said, "My brother is back today. Let's go eat together. Let's have a good gathering." "That's good too. It's been a long time since we got together. Let's go over there and eat. You don't have to prepare anything at home," Guan Shilin said with a smile and told Yi Jing. When Yi Jing saw this, she only smiled and did not say anything. After sitting there for a while, Fengju brought the children back to the Feng Manor. Upon entering, he saw Ling Hua walk over. "Master." He called out but did not say anything. He only looked at the children with a gentle smile on his face. "Hao take them to find your father. Mother will be there in a while." Fengju said to Hao and let him bring the children in first. "Okay." Hao nodded and led them in first. After they left, Fengju asked, "What's wrong? Du Fan is back." "Oh? Where is he?" Fengju asked. "In the pavilion in front." Chapter 43-75. Du Fan walked slowly in the pavilion with his hands behind his back. When he saw Fengju coming, he walked forward and called out, "Master, sit down and talk." Fengju gestured and sat down with him in the pavilion. Then he asked, "How did it go?" "When I arrived there, I personally told Monarch Black Tortoise that Hao was staying here. He asked me to stay there for a few days, so I stayed there. At the same time, I secretly inquired about Hao's situation over there these few years." Du Fan paused and continued, "Monarch Black Tortoise and his wife have another child. He's almost 3 years old. It's a boy and they like him very much. Although Hao went back these few years, he was raised here by Master and the Yama Lord. When he went back, he was sensible. Although he was close to them, he was not as close as he was to Master and the Yama Lord. In addition, Hao's personality is similar to that of the Yama Lord since he was young. Therefore, as time passed and they had a younger son, they did not care about Hao as much as before. However, they did not treat him badly in terms of food and accommodation. They just neglected him a little. As a result, he buried himself in cultivation all day long and became colder and colder. As Du Fan spoke, he looked at Fengju, who was frowning slightly, and said, "Master, according to what I heard, Monarch Black Tortoise and his wife did not treat Hao badly. However, he was not raised by them since he was young, so there would be a sense of unfamiliarity. In addition, they had a younger son who was raised by them. In comparison, there would naturally be a difference in closeness after a long time. Hao was a sensitive child since he was young, so he should be aware of this." After saying these words, he did not say anything more. He just looked at her and let her make her own decision. To the Black Tortoise Monarch and the others, Hao was their biological son after all. Naturally, they would not say that they had mistreated him or that their subordinates had bullied their masters. However, the kindness of raising him was greater than the kindness of giving birth to him. Hao was brought up by their master and the Yama Lord. Naturally, he would be more dependent and close to them. Naturally, he could not treat his biological parents the same way as his master and the Yama Lord. If the child was like this, the parents would gradually lose interest in him after a long time. With another son by their side, they would naturally lose interest in him. This was not their fault. "Alright, I got it. You've just come back. Have a good rest," Fengju said as he got up and slowly walked away. It was enough to know that Hao was not bullied there. As for the rest, since he was unhappy at his father's place, she would bring him over to her side. It just so happened that the children would have company. After making up her mind, she planned to talk to Imo at night and let him talk to the Black Tortoise Monarch. She believed that the other party would agree with their decision. At night, because of Guan Shilin's return, everyone gathered again. They had not seen each other for a long time, and seemed to have endless topics to talk about. After half a month of peaceful and warm days, Xianyuan Mose and Fengjiu took the 3 children and said goodbye to Feng Sanyuan and the others. They only took Ling Shuang, Ling Hua, Hui Lang, Ying Yi, and a few others with them. They left through the teleportation array and headed to the Empire. As early as when he knew that they had returned with the 2 children, the Xianyuan monarch had been waiting for them. If it was not because he had to deal with the Empire's affairs, he would have wanted to go to the Feng family to see his 2 grandsons. Chapter 4376. Mother, does Grandpa live in such a big place by himself? Yue looked at the magnificent palace curiously and excitedly. There are many people here, not just your grandpa. Fengjiu smiled and rubbed her little head. He held her little hand and walked forward slowly beside Xianyuan Mose. It was a familiar place. Thinking about it, it had been a long time since he came here. This place was still the same. It was different from the Feng family's place. In this palace, power and authority were the rulers. Hao had been here before and was no stranger to this place. In addition, his biological father's palace was even more magnificent. Therefore, he didn't feel anything when he came here. Mu Chen was young and knew that this palace was where his grandpa lived. It was also where his daddy used to live. Therefore, he looked around curiously. Their family walked in the front while Ling Shuang, Ling Hua, and Grey Wolf walked behind them. As they walked along the road, the guards and maids in the palace all bowed and saluted them when they saw them. Some clever ones had already entered the palace and reported the news of their return. Monarch, Monarch, His Highness and the others are back. The monarch of Xianyuan Kingdom, who had just sat down, immediately stood up. His eyes were filled with excitement and joy. They are back? Where are they? They are coming to this palace, the guard reported. Hearing this, he immediately walked out. When he arrived outside, he saw 3 children walking in front of him from afar. One of them was a little girl in a pink dress who was skipping along. Beside her was an identical little boy and Hao who had grown a lot taller. Behind him was Moze, who was dressed in a black robe, and Feng Jiu, who was dressed in a red robe. When he saw them, an excited smile appeared on his face, and he strode forward. Why didn't you tell me that you were coming today? I would have let the people prepare. He smiled and walked forward. Looking at the pair of little children looking up at him, he couldn't hide the excitement in his eyes. This must be Mu Chen and Mu Yu. Father, this is Mu Chen and Mu Yu. Fengjiu bowed to him and said with a smile, then looked at the 2 children. Quickly, greet your grandfather. Grandpa. The 2 children called out sweetly, looking well behaved. Ha 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 ha, good good good. He happily laughed, then bending over, he stepped forward and hugged Yu. Hao greets Grandpa. Hao also saluted at this time and called out. Hao has grown up and taller. It's good that all of you are here. It will be more lively with all of you around. He smiled and glanced at Hao and Mu Chen. He said to them, Grandpa's palace is big and there are many places to stay. You guys should stay here for a few more days and keep Grandpa company. Father, we'll be staying here for a while. We won't be leaving anytime soon, Xianyuan Mo said. Hearing this, Emperor Xianyuan nodded. This is good. It will give me a chance to spend more time with the children. In the past, when you came, you only stayed for a few days. Since there is nothing important now, you can stay for a while. He paused and said, If you are not used to living in the palace, your residence outside the palace is still there. You can also stay there. In short, stay for a few more days. Chapter 4377. Hearing that Xianyuan Mose would be staying in the palace, the emperor of the Xianyuan kingdom was very happy. He immediately took them to the palace and ordered the imperial kitchen to prepare a sumptuous banquet. Then, he took the 3 children to the national treasury and let them pick their favorite gift. While they were living in the palace and enjoying the joy of a family reunion, the news of them returning to this place spread out quietly. Fengjiu's friends knew that they had returned to the Phoenix dynasty, so they put down the things at hand and specially rushed to the Feng family to have a good gathering with them. The demon master, who had been avoiding Fengjiu and Xianyuan Mo's for a few years and had been using the Black Lotus to improve his strength since he obtained it, also began to have ideas after receiving the news. So, they have left the Feng family and gone to the Xianyuan Empire? The demon master played with 2 black beads in his hand as he listened to the demonic cultivator kneeling in front of him report the latest news. Yes, they didn't bring many people with them, and they have 3 children. Hearing this, the demon master, who was sitting diagonally on the main seat, didn't say anything, as if he was thinking about something. He narrowed his blood-red eyes and pondered, holding the 2 black beads in his hand, gently turning the beads, making a crisp collision sound. I have avoided them for a long time, and it's time to let them know how powerful I am. But where should I start? He murmured in a low voice, but his blood-red eyes glowed with a strange light, and his lips curved into a bloodthirsty smile. He clearly already had an idea. The kneeling guard raised his head slightly and happened to see the bloodthirsty smile on his face. He couldn't help but tremble, and quickly lowered his head. The demonic cultivators below have been idle for a long time. Go. Let them make some noise. His sinister voice revealed a hint of excitement, and he waved his hand to signal the kneeling guard to leave. Yes, I will take my leave. The demonic cultivator responded and quickly left. After the demonic cultivator left, the 2 demonic cultivators on his left and right asked, Master, do you want us to go and make some noise? When the time comes, the 2 of you will follow this monarch to secretly do something. He smiled sinisterly, twirling the 2 black pearls in his hand and said, Compared to dealing with Fengjiu and Xianyuan Mo's, don't you think it would be more interesting to deal with their children? Hearing this, the 2 of them looked at each other, hesitated for a moment and said, It is said that their 2 children are not even 3 years old, and they are always by their side. I am afraid that it will be difficult to make a move. That's why I plan to go there personally. I'll start with their children first and mess up Fengjiu and Xianyuan Mo's minds. Then, it'll be easy to deal with them. His voice was filled with excitement. His hand slowly rotated and finally clenched into a fist. It was as if he was completely confident in this plan and was only waiting for him to personally make a move. The 2 demonic cultivators didn't dare to say anything and just stood respectfully behind him. They faintly felt uneasy about the demon master's decision to make a move on Fengjiu and Xianyuan Mo's children. If this matter didn't succeed, then it was one thing, but if it did, they were afraid that they wouldn't be able to bear the ghost Dr. Fengjiu and Xianyuan Mo's torrential anger. Chapter 4378. Fengjiu and Xianyuan Mo's were completely unaware of the Devil Lord's plans. During this period of time, they stayed in the palace. The children accompanied their grandfather every day, enjoying the happiness of a family reunion. Because they were in the palace and their grandfather was accompanying them, Xianyuan Mo's did not stay by their side. These days, if he was not reading in the library, he was sitting cross-legged and cultivating. Fengjiu spent a few leisurely days here. Seeing that the children were close to their grandfather, he entered the space to cultivate. During this period of time, she faintly felt that the green lotus in her body was growing stronger. At the same time, she also felt that the aura of the golden lotus in the spiritual spring was growing stronger. This was not only helpful to the growth of the green lotus, but also helped it grow stronger. In the space, she sat cross-legged and looked at the dazzling golden light emitted from the golden lotus. The light was as dazzling and beautiful as the sun, and the light seemed to carry a rainbow of colors. The sacred aura emitted by the golden lotus grew stronger and stronger, so much so that her green lotus was also affected by the aura and light, and became stronger day by day. She closed her eyes and meditated. Time passed day by day. On the first day, she could feel the growth and changes of the green lotus in her body. She didn't know how much time had passed. On this day, she was still meditating. The golden lotus in front of her swayed gently. In the dazzling and sacred golden light, a shadow seemed to be condensing bit by bit. Fengjiu did not notice, but the contract beasts in the space all saw it. They saw the familiar immortal-like person, Emo-chin, who had disappeared in front of them. His body was condensing bit by bit in the golden light, like a shadow and like an illusion. In fact, this was not the first time they had seen Emo-chin come out of the golden lotus. Early on, when their master moved the golden lotus in, she had told them that Emo-chen's soul was attached to the golden lotus and had become one with it. It was only a matter of time before he condensed an immortal body. However, after his soul fell into a deep sleep to recover, he had not awakened until today. They were excited and could not help but look at their master. However, they saw that she was still meditating, so they did not disturb her. In the golden lotus, Emo-chin, whose immortal body was gradually condensing, stood at the heart of the golden lotus and quietly looked at Fengjiu in front of him. His expression was indifferent, but there was a gentle and elegant smile on his lips, as always, as if it had never changed. He looked at her with the same gentle gaze, but there was no longer any affection in his gaze. There was only relief after letting go of everything. "Ah, Jiu," he called out gently. His voice was as pleasant as the spring breeze. Fengjiu slowly opened his eyes when he heard the name Aju. At first glance, he saw the white figure in the golden lotus. However, the figure in the golden lotus was only the size of a palm, but his eyes and expression were still as familiar as before. "Emo-chin, you've condensed an immortal body?" Fengjiu was overjoyed. He quickly stood up and walked forward. Chapter 43-79. Because I have been in your space for the past 2 years and have been nourished by the golden lotus, my immortal body has made some progress. Now the form has been formed, but I have yet to condense my real body. He spoke slowly, his voice as gentle as the spring breeze. The day my immortal body is fully formed, the golden lotus will disappear and become one with me. At the same time, I will disappear from your space. If you can't see me then, don't panic and don't worry. Hearing this, Fengjiu was stunned. She hurriedly asked, "Disappear? Then where will you go?" He looked at her and saw her slightly startled expression and the worry in her eyes. His heart warmed and he gently said, "My body has already disappeared from this world. Once the soul residing in this golden lotus condenses a celestial body from the ancient golden lotus, this golden celestial will become one with me. At the same time, as the golden lotus disappears, my celestial body will also return to where my teacher is." His gentle voice paused and he said slowly, "The heavenly mountain is where I cultivated and grew up. When my immortal body is formed, it will naturally return to that place." Fengjiu's anxious heart was relieved by his words. She relaxed and asked, "Is there anything else I can do for you? I feel that the green lotus's strength has increased recently. Maybe I can." Emo-chin raised his hand to signal her to stop talking. He shook his head slightly and smiled warmly. "I just need to wait for the right time. No one can help me with this." He looked at her with gentle eyes and smiled. "Many years ago, Master told me that I have one foot in the heavens of life and death. There is a life and death trial in my life. If I can cross it, I will become an immortal. If I can't, I will disappear from the world. I didn't know what Master meant before. Later, I understood everything." His eyes were gentle and there was calmness in his gentleness. Everything that has happened in these years has been predestined. Hearing this, Fengjiu was silent. She didn't say anything. She just sighed softly in her heart. There were many things that didn't need to be said. There was no need to say them. Both of them knew this. In her heart, even though she loved Xianyuan most deeply, Emo-chin would always be a special existence to her. If she could help him, she really wanted to do something for him. However, he had always been the one who contributed. As if he knew what she was thinking, Emo-chin smiled and asked gently, How have you been these past few years? Tell me about it. I feel that it won't be long before my immortal body reaches great perfection. When I return to Sky Mountain, I don't know when I will see you again. Even if you go back, if your master doesn't allow you to leave the mountain, we can still go and see you. She suppressed the thoughts in her mind and chuckled. While you were sleeping and cultivating, I didn't stay idle either. She stood beside Jinlian and told Emochen about what had happened in the past few years. As she spoke, Emochen listened quietly. It wasn't until Emochen once again merged into Jinlian to cultivate that Fengjiu turned and left the space. Xianyuan Mose was about to go and see the children when he felt something strange in the room. He stopped walking and turned back to the room. When he entered the room, he saw Fengjiu standing by the window and looking outside. He didn't know what he was thinking, but his expression was blank. Chapter 4380. Emochen's immortal body has already reached the initial stage, Fengjiu said as she relaxed in his arms. That's a good thing, Xianyuan Mose said as he lowered his head to look at her. Why do you seem to be so unhappy? Yes, it's a good thing that his immortal body has reached the initial stage. I'm also very happy for him. But I don't know why, but I feel a little depressed, she said slowly. He told me that when he reaches the immortal body and becomes an immortal, the ancient golden lotus will disappear from my space along with him and return to the heavenly mountain where his master is. He told me that I don't have to worry about his sudden disappearance in the future. Xianyuan Mose listened quietly and did not speak. He knew that what she needed now was someone to listen to, someone to let her relax. When he talked about what his master said to him many years ago, and how everything that happened in the past few years was predestined, I had an indescribable feeling in my heart. It was as if, no matter how hard we work, everything is predestined by the heavens. Hearing this, his deep eyes flashed and he asked, So, when you're lamenting about everything that happened in the past few years, are you also worried about what that old Taoist said about our two children? Fengjiu did not speak. She pursed her lips and slowly lowered her gaze. That's right, when she heard Emochen talk about those things, while she was lamenting about the wonders of fate, she was also shocked. If fate was predestined, did that mean that, no matter how hard they worked, everything would still happen? She was worried that her two children would not be able to grow up safely. At this moment, she felt a pair of gentle hands wrap around hers. Xianyuan Mose, who was behind her, used his strong arms to hug her. His large hands held her hands, as if he wanted to pass on his strength to her. The warmth from behind her, as well as that familiar aura, gradually calmed her down. Don't worry, no matter what you face in the future, I will be by your side and face it with you. Yes, I know, she replied softly, revealing a smile. On the other side of the palace, the Emperor of Xianyuan Kingdom was accompanying the three children to plant trees in the garden. He was the Emperor of the 6 Kingdoms, but at this moment, he was wearing a normal robe with his sleeves rolled up as he squatted in the garden to help support the saplings. Step on the ground again, make the surrounding soil firm, the Emperor of Xianyuan Kingdom said. As he said this, he saw that the 3 children were covered in soil from digging and watering the soil. They looked like 3 little kittens, and couldn't help but find it funny. You step. The little one hurriedly put down the little shovel in her hand. She lifted the hem of her little skirt with one hand and stomped hard on the soil with her little feet. Sister, your dress is dirty, Mu Chun said as he looked at the muddy handprints on her beautiful new dress. What? Ha ha ha, it's all right. You all have to go back and take a bath. Just take a bath and change into clean clothes. The king of Xianyuan Kingdom laughed out loud. Chapter 4381. How who came over with a small water bottle, couldn't help but laugh. Little sister, it won't bear fruit tomorrow. Even if it does, it will take many years. Yes, it will take many years to bear fruit. Tomorrow it won't bear fruit. Ha 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 ha. The Emperor of Xianyuan Kingdom couldn't help but laugh when he heard the child's words. Won't it grow faster if you water it every day? She blinked her beautiful big eyes and asked. Mu-chen, who was beside her, acted like a little adult and said, "This kind of sapling will take a long time to grow. When we grow up, it will also bear fruit." "Yes, when you grow up, this spirit fruit tree will also grow." The Emperor of Xianyuan Kingdom smiled and nodded. "There's still a long way to go. There's no need to rush. Come, Grandpa will bring you to surround the sapling. In the future, no one will be allowed to enter this place. This is your place. Grandpa will help you guard the fruit tree." As he spoke, he brought the 3 children to stand in front of the sapling and looked around. He said, "Chun'er, go and get the purple spirit bamboo. Plant it here and form a circle. How you are strong. You will dig a hole starting from here. You sprinkle water around so that there won't be so much dust flying around." "Okay." The 3 children responded excitedly. Following his instructions, they each began to do one thing. Doing things with their own hands and with their grandfather accompanying them, they were all very excited and motivated. Hauer, in particular, was very happy. During this period of time, the smile on his little face had increased by quite a bit. Because he was at his father's and mother's side, regardless of whether they went to the Feng Manor or the Imperial Palace, he felt as if he had returned home. The Emperor of Xianyuan Kingdom really loved them. This great imperial garden was originally a place where hundreds of flowers bloomed. However, he ordered a large patch of flowers and plants to be pulled out to make a space in the center for the 3 children to plant the spirit fruit tree. He also specially found the precious purple spirit bamboo and planted it around the spirit fruit tree to form a protective circle. On this day they worked until evening. When the sky gradually darkened, both the Emperor of Xianyuan Kingdom and the 3 children were exhausted. Only then did they return together. "Grandfather, tomorrow morning I will come to water them. I will come to water them every day." Who was being carried by her grandfather, had an excited expression on her face when she spoke about the spiritual fruit trees. Okay. I'll come over early tomorrow morning." He looked at Hao and Mu-chen beside him and asked, "Are you too tired?" "I'm not tired," said the 2 of them. As they spoke, they looked at each other and smiled. Even if they felt tired, they didn't want to say it out loud because they were happy. "Brother, are you hungry?" Mu-chen asked. "I'm not hungry. I had some snacks just now," Hao said and looked at him. "Are you hungry?" "I have food here." "I'm thirsty." "I'm not hungry," Mu-chen said. "I have water." Hao hurriedly took out a water bag from his space. Mu-chen took it and asked curiously, "Brother, why do you still have a water skin in your space?" Chapter 4382. They chatted as they walked. Not far behind them, Ling Hua and Hui Lang were following them at a leisurely pace. Hui Lang couldn't help but smile as he looked at them. The monarch really dotes on the 3 of them. Look at all those precious flowers and plants in the imperial garden. He actually plucked them just like that. Amen, I can see that. Ling Hua nodded with a smile. Let me tell you a secret. In the past, the monarch didn't even treat Master this well. Even when the father and son met, they didn't talk much. But now, the monarch actually accompanied the 3 children to plant trees and bamboos for an entire day. I really didn't expect the monarch to be this kind of person. Hearing this, Ling Hua looked at him with amusement and said, "Is there anyone who praises people like you? Aren't you afraid that the monarch will hear you?" This is nothing. Besides, you see, the monarch is now wholeheartedly focused on the 3 golden grandchildren. How could he care about what we are talking about? Hui Lang grinned and waved his hand carelessly. Ling Hua shook his head with a smile and didn't say anything. Just as the 2 of them walked, they kept looking at the people in front of them. When they came to a bend, they heard Yu curiously calling out in a low voice. Grandpa, look, what's that?" They raised their heads and looked at the sky. At this time, the sky was gradually darkening. The stirring of the clouds in the sky didn't seem very obvious. What's going on? Hui Lang frowned and said from behind. Then, he saw flames on the other side of the palace. Moreover, the sound of swords clashing could be faintly heard. Something's wrong. Leng Hua's expression turned cold. He quickly went to the side of the monarch of Xianyuan and the children. It must be demonic cultivators. Hui Lang also reacted and said with a cold face, "In the past few days, I heard from the people of Yandian that demonic cultivators have been causing trouble outside. I didn't expect that they would dare to have ideas about this place. They must be tired of living." The king of the Xianyuan kingdom looked at the burning area and heard the sounds of battle. He immediately shouted, "Where is an Ing? Your subordinates are here." 8 secret guards appeared out of nowhere and saluted respectfully. "Hurry up and check it out." He mobilized the shadow guards to quickly clean it up. "Anyone who dares to trespass the palace will be killed on the spot." The emperor of the Xianyuan kingdom's voice was deep and cold. The aura of a superior being burst forth at this moment. Yes. 4 of the 8 shadow guards left. The remaining 4 stayed close to the emperor of the Xianyuan kingdom, forming a protective circle around him and the 3 children. Hui Lang and Ling Hua, take good care of Hao and Mu Chen. Quickly send the 3 children back to their parents, the emperor of Xianyuan said as he looked at the 2 of them. Yes. Ling Hua went forward and carried the younger Mu Chen. Hui Lang held Hao-er's hand. The 2 of them took the children and followed the emperor of Xianyuan kingdom to send the 3 children back to their parents' palace. In the palace, Xianyuan Mose and Fengjiu were also the first to sense the commotion in the palace. They came out of their rooms and saw thick smoke coming from the place where the flames were flashing. The sound of swords clashing could be heard. They couldn't help but frown. Only those demonic cultivators would dare to fight in this palace. Chapter 4383. They should be in the Imperial Garden, Xianyuan Mose said as he rushed out with her. As they walked towards the Imperial Garden, the Emperor of Xianyuan and the others were also walking towards them with the children. Therefore, it didn't take long for them to meet halfway. "Daddy, Mommy!" Yu waved her little hands and shouted. She was very happy to see them. When Fengjiu saw that the 3 children were all there, his anxious heart finally relaxed. He hurriedly went forward to take Yu. "You came at the right time. Bring the children back and take good care of them. I'll go over there to take a look," the emperor of Xianyuan said as he handed the 3 children to them. "Hui Lang, Ling Hua, you 2 go with him to help," Fengjiu instructed. "Okay," the 2 of them replied. "By the way, I don't know what's going on with the clouds in the sky. They have been stirring since just now," the emperor of Xianyuan said as he walked a few steps away, indicating for them to look at the clouds in the sky. Hearing this, Xianyuan Mose and Fengjiu looked up and saw that the clouds were stirring like a whirlpool in the sky that had already darkened. The speed was not fast, as if something was brewing. "Let's go. Let's go back to the palace first," Xianyuan Mose said. Seeing that his father and the others had left, he carried Chen-er and planned to send them back to the palace first. "Okay," Fengjiu replied. He carried Yu in one hand and held Hao in the other as he followed Mu Chen to the palace. However, after taking a few steps, they felt that something was wrong in the air. They immediately stopped in their tracks and saw that in the night, dozens of demonic cultivators had appeared out of nowhere. They formed a circle and faced each other with their swords. The demonic cultivators knew who they were, so they didn't dare to step forward. They only held their swords with fear in their eyes, as if they were waiting for others to attack first. "What are you all standing there for? Attack!" When the leader of the devil cultivators saw the fear in their eyes, he couldn't help but feel annoyed. He shouted sternly, "Don't forget the Devil Lord's orders." As soon as these words were spoken, the hearts of those devil cultivators trembled, as if they had thought of something. Without any hesitation, they clenched their teeth and flew up, attacking Xianyuan Mose and Fengjiu. They knew that with their strength, going against Xianyuan Mo's and the ghost Dr. Fengjiu would be like throwing eggs against a rock. However, if they disobeyed orders and did not attack, what awaited them would be a fate worse than death. Kill! A loud shout rang out, and dozens of devil cultivators quickly rushed forward, attacking the two of them. Looking at this scene, Xianyuan Mo's eyes flashed with a cold light. He said coldly, "You overestimate yourself." As soon as he finished speaking, he raised his hand, and a powerful aura that was visible to the naked eye formed a half-arc of sharp air current and attacked them. Whoosh! Whoosh! A sharp wind blade slashed past, and with a whoosh, those demonic cultivators who rushed forward groaned and were sent flying one after another. One by one, they fell from a high place and crashed to the ground. Pft! Blood spurted out from their mouths, and their eyes were filled with horror. They knew that Xianyuan Mo's and the ghost Dr. Fengjiu were very strong, but they didn't expect that with their strength, they couldn't even get close to them. Chapter 4384. Sensing that terrifying ancient might pervading in the air, and sensing the powerful and terrifying airflow in the hollow of his palm, the pupils of the leading devil cultivator shrunk, and he immediately shouted, "Quick! Set up the formation!" That sinister voice carried urgency, and pressure woke them up. Those devil cultivators who fell on the ground looked towards the leading devil cultivator, then clenching their teeth, they bit their middle finger, and at the same time, blood flowed out. They pressed the blood on their forehead, then one by one, they quickly sat cross-legged, and condensed their hands in front of them to form a seal. Seeing this scene, Xianyuan Mo's and Fengjiu looked at each other. The former frowned, while the latter's eyes flashed with contemplation and alertness. They instinctively protected the three children behind them. But, in the next moment, they saw a black aura gushing out from between their eyebrows, and gradually, it rapidly condensed between them. Not good. It's the aura of ancient Black Lotus. Fengjiu's complexion changed, and he immediately put down your, then said to Xianyuan Mo's, "You look after the children." The world-destroying aura of ancient Black Lotus was basically not something that Mo's could resist. But she was different, as the cyan lotus within her body was even more powerful, so she could contend against it. Seeing this, Xianyuan Mo's took the three children and retreated to one side, then looked at Fengjiu condensing his hands, and a flame carrying the aura of cyan lotus advanced towards those devil cultivators. But at this time, the aura of Black Lotus that was drawn out by the blood of those devil cultivators formed into a black figure. Seeing Fengjiu's flame carrying the aura of cyan lotus, that black figure dissipated in front, but in a flash it scuttled through the flame and pounced towards Fengjiu. Ah! Mournful blood-curdling screams accompanied with the aura of death spread in the air. The flame of Fengjiu pounced towards those devil cultivators, and the raging flame instantly engulfed those devil cultivators, and the blood-curdling screams came from within the flame. However, that black figure condensed from ancient Black Lotus was not affected in the slightest. It did not care about the life and death of those devil cultivators behind it, rather swept through the flame, and directly pounced towards Fengjiu. "Be careful," Xianyuan Mo's reminded her. He watched as Fengjiu quickly dodged the attack of the black shadow, only to be caught up in it again. The two of them exchanged blows, and the other party was not afraid of her ancient might and powerful aura. This made him a little worried. Looking towards the other side of the palace, the battle there seemed to have not ended. The sounds of fighting could be faintly heard from afar. Could it be that there were only these demonic cultivators tonight? Would the Devil Lord appear? If he did, where would he be now? He furrowed his brows in deep thought as he looked at the burning scene while covering his daughter's eyes. The little girl was not even 3 years old, and she was also a girl. Such a scene would prevent her from having nightmares at night. However, he still underestimated the endurance of the 3 children. When the 3 little guys saw this scene, there was no fear in their eyes. They just watched nervously, worried about their mother. "Father, what is that black shadow? Will Mother be able to defeat it?" Yu worriedly asked, then she reached out her little hand to remove the big hand covering her eyes. Chapter 4385. Just as they were talking, they saw that the black figure in front of them was hit by Fengjiu's green lotus chi. That attack seemed to hit cotton, but in the next moment, that black chi dissipated in the air. A few drops of blood fell from that black chi and dripped to the ground, disappearing into the soil. Fengjiu looked at the dissipating black figure and again looked at his palm. His eyes flashed. He heard Yu-er's excited and joyful voice coming from behind him. "That's great! Mother won! Mother is so powerful!" Fengjiu turned around and saw his daughter's little face brimming with a happy smile. He couldn't help but reveal a smile. However, in the next moment, she was startled by the dense black lotus chi that pervaded the air from a distance. Xianyuan Mo saw her expression change. When he followed her gaze, he saw the palace on fire. He didn't know when, but a powerful black lotus chi had condensed in the air and was surging over there. Could it be the Demon Lord? He opened his mouth and said, frowning. If it was the Demon Lord, then even if his father and others were there, they wouldn't be able to do anything. Even if it wasn't the Demon Lord, with such a powerful black lotus chi, if the black lotus chi entered their body, the consequences would be unimaginable. "Let's go and take a look," Fengjiu said. He knew that it was impossible to let Mose bring the 3 children back. After all, the person there was his father. Even if it wasn't his father, it was impossible for a man like him to hide in the palace and let her go alone. They wouldn't feel at ease leaving the 3 children in the hands of others to protect. Moreover, she didn't bring many people with her this time. Therefore, the best way was to go together. Even if something happened, they could take care of each other. At that moment, Xianyuan Mose carried Mu Chen and Mu Yu, while Fengjiu rushed forward and carried Hao. However, when they arrived, they only saw a floor full of corpses, splattered blood and surging black aura. They didn't see a single living person in the surroundings, whether it was a demonic cultivator, a palace guard, or a shadow guard. "Grandfather is there!" Yu shouted while pointing at the fainted Xianyuan monarch in the corner. "Uncle Hua and Uncle Hui Lang are there, as well as Aunt Shuang." Hao looked at the figures that had fallen in a few corners on the other side. He was worried and wanted to go forward to take a look, but was held down. "Stay by Mother's side and don't run around." Xianyuan Mose instructed them to follow Fengjiu closely. Then, he quickly went to his father's side and helped him up. At this moment, his body was covered in blood, and there was a faint black aura lingering around his body. He fainted there and did not move at all. For a moment, his heart was in his throat. If the Black Lotus death aura invaded his body, Xianyuan Mose helped his father up and called out, "Father, father." "Yes. Father. 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 Mose." Several panicked voices suddenly sounded. The 3 children and Fengjiu looked at this scene in shock, and their expressions changed drastically.